It tears me down because I think about as a child when we had fire drills and tornado drills and they taught us, crouch down and cover your head. And I remember we would have these routine drills and I really believed that a tornado was going to come.
Welcome to the BJ Show. Let's rock and roll. Rock and roll. Come on, everybody. Let's lose control. Brand John never wants to follow. Yeah, ready for the ride. It's the BJ Show. BJ Show.
It is the BJ Show. Today's date is December 11th. Is that correct, John? Did I get it right?
You got it absolutely right, and we'll talk about the significance of 12/11/25 in just a moment.
And it is another So Happy It's Thursday. What is the acronym for that, John, again? What is that?
It's pronounced phonetically, shoot.
Shoot. Okay. That's correct. Okay.
Road over, like you can take it as a shortcut if you're going from like West County to Creve Coeur. You take Shoots Road.
Yeah, right. That's what you do on Thursday. By the way, we have to start the show with a correction because you and I did our guests wrong yesterday. You and I.
Oh, what did we do wrong, Brad?
We guessed his age. And what did we guess his age at?
We said mid-50s. And who was the guest, Brad?
We're talking about Jason Law, who is currently the lieutenant colonel for the St. Louis County Police Department, former mayor of Lake St. Louis, who is in the running for the job of St. Charles County executive. And we were corrected by his crack campaign aide. I guess he's the campaign manager, John Conlon. And Jason Law is 48. So you and I did him a disservice by saying he was in his mid-50s. He's 48.
Yeah, well, hey, I've never met him, and you've met him in person, right?
Yeah, one time 3 or 4 years ago. And
okay, so you're the guy that's calling him an old man when you should know better. Good to know, Brad. Speaking of old men, we had a fantastic comment on the Jason Law interview on our YouTube page, which you can find by going to johncombest.com. And Info Dude weighed in. And Info Dude said, quote, "The Green Banana Coalition demands equal time."
Because
for folks who don't know, Brad was referencing the fact that a lot of leaders in St. Charles County, be they Steve Ellman or leaders of municipalities, local mayors, are kind of like Brad, 1 foot in the grave, as Brad would say, 1 foot in the grave, 1 foot on a banana peel. And I mentioned that none of those guys are buying green bananas, Brad.
Yeah, and Info Dude knows. That guy gets around. Matter of fact, the other morning when I was driving to one of my meetings after I got off the air early, they were talking about Info Dude in 97.1. So
were they really?
Yes. As a matter of fact, that's not the first time I've heard Info Dude being quoted by not only Mark Cox, which was the other morning. I've also heard Info Dude being quoted by Annie Fry during the midday show as well too. So that Info Dude, man, he gets around. I'm telling you.
We were first introduced on Brad's Westplex.social website, where Mike Otten and I gave away Brad's truck. Do you remember us giving away your truck, Brad?
Yes. Okay.
And I never confiscated it. Actually, Mike and I went to it, and we saw that there were so many biggie bags piled up on the passenger seat that we said, we don't want this truck.
Can I tell you a weird story?
Please do.
When I'm at the doctor the other day, the nurse who's taking care of me, she says something about, I can't remember what she said. I said something about like, I was referring to the hospital in Washington. She says, "Oh, we live in Washington." I go, "You do?" And she says, she says, "What do you do?" I go, "I'm in the radio business." She says, "Oh, are you that place with the hill down there in the valley?" I'm going, "Yes, that's the crap."
And you said, "I don't know. Do you want to bring an excavator by and ruin my field?"
I fought back, John. I rented a bulldozer, and I filled in what they messed up. So anyway, that is John Combest. Every single day of his life, he puts together this incredible list of all the important things you should need to know about, what most people don't. But if you are a concerned citizen, you're going to check out johncombest.com. The problem with his website is he's got so much stuff on there that what we do is we bring in this guy right here.
I'm Casey Kasem.
And he brings us the top 3 of John's numerous posts on his page. Casey, do your stuff, Casey.
In third place,
2/3 of our top 3 today are from a local newspaper. And the brawn at the hospital probably knows this paper if she's from Washington. This is from the Washington Missourian. Statewide fugitive operation yields arrests in county. And the Washington Missourian reminds us that on day one, that Governor Mike Kehoe was sworn into office. On day one, he did a little ceremonial statement about, we're going to have local law enforcement team with the state, and we're going to improve operations. And frankly, Brad, I hear that and I'm like, yawn, boring, administrative stuff. Thanks a lot, Governor. Lots of action there. You know, it's easy to be skeptical when you're talking about administrative stuff. However, listen to how the Washington Missourian leads their story. The first executive order Governor Kehoe signed after taking office is paying dividends in Franklin County. Brad, I'm about to tell you how many bad guys were nabbed. Hold on to your hats.
They didn't get me.
Operation Relentless Pursuit was one of 6 anti-crime measures the governor launched as part of his Safer Missouri initiative, credited with the arrest or the assist in arrest and over 950 individuals statewide with active felony warrants statewide through November. The campaign actually kicked off in April. And Brad, I'm going to break a radio rule here, and I'm just going to give you the punchline right away, which is 40 felony arrests have been made in Franklin County. Now, that number doesn't count folks from Franklin County who have been eluding arrest, who were busted in other counties under this new program. So what Kehoe has done is he's encouraged coordination between state and county offices. This is the type of thing that we ask, why wasn't anybody doing this before? Well, Kehoe funded or arranged for the funding of additional staff to better improve, to improve and better coordinate the database. I'm looking for the best way to describe it from the article. He employed staff that could better coordinate local law enforcement with state law enforcement. There we go. I finally spit it out. And so, Brad, we've seen almost 1,000 folks under the system that had active felony warrants actually be captured and brought to justice. Now, we probably shouldn't be surprised by this, at least in the focus of the legislation, because as we know, one of Governor Kehoe's primary campaign planks was to better coordinate with law enforcement. He's got a close relationship with law enforcement, a great relationship with police unions, and you can tell by what seemed to be just a boring administrative position on day one is actually paying off for people statewide and in Franklin County, Brad.
John, can I ask you a stupid question?
Yeah, please do, Brad. Do you have any ones that aren't stupid?
No, I don't. A previous governor, I think his name was Parson, who was, I believe, in law enforcement. I believe he was a sheriff.
He was a sheriff.
Why didn't he do this?
That's a great question, Brad. And I don't know. You know, sometimes there are things where one governor may start a task force or start to move in a direction. But I don't know if Governor Parson even did anything in this regard or not. I can't speak intelligently on this. But that's a great point, Brad. We are just coming off, pardon the expression, we are just coming off of a sheriff governor. Now, the governor before that was Greitens. And I guess you could say he had people's hands tied.
I heard a rumor that he was a Navy SEAL. Did you ever hear anything about that?
No, I never heard that. Did he have any sort of a military record?
I don't remember. Okay, I'm going to make a comment here, okay? And I know I'm taking up your time. Don't be mad at me. Okay,
I'm not.
You know how you can tell Franklin County is a Republican county?
How's that, Brad?
Because if this would have been a Democratic county, there would have been people protesting that people were being arrested on felony warrants. They'd be down there, we can't believe you're arresting.
Exactly right. And then they would spread rumors that ICE had been in town.
Right. And there would be human chains in front of the Franklin County courthouse as these people were being brought before the judge. And the human chains would be saying, you're being terrible to our citizens. They did nothing but just have a felony warrant out for their arrest. Why are you being so mean to them? Right? Isn't that the way it would work?
I wouldn't call it a human chain. I'd call it a human centipede.
Okay, we done with that one?
Yeah, please let's get off human centipede. Pardon the expression.
Here we go.
Up a notch to number 2.
We're going to stay real local, Brad. And we're going to talk about another headline from the Washington Missourian. This one's brought to us by Chris Parker. County jails strained by Missouri Department of Mental Health backlog. And Chris starts with a kind of a sad story. A gentleman was arrested in 2021 for the murder of a 42-year-old woman. The gentleman who shot the woman was found at his home with a self-inflicted, non-fatal gunshot wound to the head. So this gentleman, named Philip Hardin, was charged with first-degree murder, armed criminal action. He pleaded not guilty, but prosecutors moved to have him examined by the Department of Mental Health just to see if he could just to see if he was fit to stand trial. And it was found that he was not fit to stand trial. So the judge in Franklin County said, hey, he doesn't have the mental capacity in the criminal case. The gentleman was moved from Franklin County custody and committed to the Department of Mental Health for treatment. Well, on paper, that should have been the end of the story, right? He's out of Franklin County. In reality, this man, the murderer, stayed in Franklin County for 458 days. Brad, you've done a great job on this show over the years of talking about how sometimes local jails, whether it's on a federal level with ICE or whether it's on a state level, they can get money for keeping prisoners there. But in some cases, the prisons are not actually reimbursed for the cost of keeping a prisoner there. And that's what's happening now with county jails across the state of Missouri. There's such a huge backlog in the state of Missouri of folks who are waiting to go talk to, be cared by, be housed by the Missouri Department of Mental Health. And yet the counties are on the hook for actually housing these prisoners until DMH is ready. Now, there is a fix for this, Brad. Before we discuss this, let's talk about the legislative fix. A gentleman named Representative Brian Seitz down in Branson has filed a bill for the next legislative session. It would amend state law, and it would require Department of Mental Health to complete their mental health exams within 45 days instead of the current 60 currently required. Now, local officials in Franklin County say they're not optimistic that that will fix the problem because Department of Mental Health can't even meet the 60-day deadline, Brad. So it appears as what we have here is that the Department of Mental Health has, I guess, so few people working. I think they would say they have so few people working in these jobs that they can't evaluate people. They can't house people. They can't give people the care they need. And until then, counties are on the hook. I should also note one more thing before we discuss, Brad, is that Chris Parker says he reached out to the Missouri Department of Mental Health, and in time for this piece, he did not get a comment from the Department of Mental Health. So I'm sure that they have a statement about it. And in fact, Department of Mental Health Director Valerie Hoon testified at a September hearing that about 60% of direct care staff quit their jobs every year. So, Brad, counties are on the hook for taking care of these folks, and it's just a bad situation all around.
You know, maybe Adam Schnelton can come to the rescue, and maybe he can get those people out of those jails and give them, swear them in as state troopers, and then they can, ticket people for following too closely on the interstate when you don't yield that left lane. What do you think, John?
I think if you need anything, it's to be pulled over by somebody as mentally unstable as you. I think you guys could just stand on the shoulder of the road and take turns calling 911.
John, by the way, did I tell you another one of my courses that I've done?
No, you haven't, Brad. Is it how to pick up a phone and dial 3 digits?
Perfect Traffic Stop. PerfectTrafficStop.com.
Wow. Now, are you giving royalties to your son for this? Hey, did your son ever take a course? Does he have suggestions for what to do in a perfect traffic stop?
Well, he's been pulled over enough, so he knows exactly what to do. No, seriously, PerfectTrafficStop.com. I think I have it only for $1, so it's a cheap course. But it's a great course. I've had people review it already, and people have agreed.
Do the people have AI voices that start and stop like they do in commercials?
No, John. What are you talking about? AI, what's that? Okay, you ready for number one?
Yeah, let's do it, Brad.
The number one.
You read today's date earlier, Brad. which is great for reference when we talk about Apple Podcasts or YouTube. It's December 11th, 2025, 12/11/25. And I teased that it was an important day. And I think it's an important day for you and I because we finally have a new answer to a perpetual question on this show. If you're new to the Brad and John Show, welcome. We spent a great deal of time in the last, say, 3 months talking about Missouri congressional redistricting. Now, we know that the legislature passed a map, a new congressional map. We know that Governor Kehoe signed it into law. And we know from our discussion, Brad, you're quite opposed to this law. And you have a nuanced opinion on Missouri's new congressional map, which matches up with your opinion on school superintendents and drug legalization and other things, which is your nuanced position. This whole thing, it's just crazy. I don't know. And Brad, a perpetual question that you ask me every time we discuss this is, now here's the thing I don't get. Are these maps in effect or are they not in effect? And I have the same answer for you every time, which is yes, Governor Kehoe signed the bill into law. The maps are in effect. Well, Brad, on this day, December 11th, 2025, we have a brand new answer for you. And the answer is one that I'll be repeating for several months because you'll continue to ask me the question. The answer is, quote, no one knows, semicolon, a judge will decide. There's a piece from MissouriNet up today and several pieces up on johncombest.com yesterday about the maps being frozen. And here's the answer, Brad. Are the maps in effect, or does the fact that a bunch of activists dumped off a bunch of petition signatures freeze the map? And the answer is no one knows. A judge will decide. Now, Brad, if you were, say, taking a conservative or Republican, or some would say strict constitutional approach to this, you would say a bunch of hobos dropping off a bunch of signatures at the Secretary of State's office doesn't freeze any map. What if all of them have a Brad Hildebrand type pseudonym like Hugh Janus or Trey C. Ellis? What if all the signatures are bogus? That doesn't freeze a congressional map. And that's kind of the argument that some folks are making right now. Those signatures aren't real until we have local election officials validate them and say, yes, there are enough signatures to freeze the map. But if you're on the other side, you say, hey, we submitted about twice as many signatures as we actually need. Come on, guys, freeze the maps and let's have a vote in November on whether Missourians really want these maps or not. So, Brad, I'm familiar with your nuanced position. I don't know this whole thing. It's just crazy. And Brad, you add an occasional, it's just BS. Well, for now, I have a permanent answer for you. Until a judge rules. No one knows. A judge will decide.
John, it's funny you should mention that because that's your number one.
That's my number one, Brad.
That is going to be my number one, but I am going to take it to a level that you have never been before. Okay.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it, Brad. Can you give us a teaser for D-Block?
I'm going to take it to a level with a buddy of yours.
Okay. Well, you know what? The way you say that, that could either be Elon Musk or it could be Abraham Lincoln. I don't know.
Or it could be Philip Rivers. You never know. Okay.
Phil Rivers. Wow. And you'd like the former quarterback from the Chargers?
Do you know the story? Do you know the current story with him? Do you know this story?
No, I don't.
Oh, well, maybe I've got a top three. Maybe I'll do a top three extra.
I was guessing that you were talking that there was maybe some old-timey guy like Otis Redding or something whose name was Philip Rivers.
No.
And like, oh, yeah, he used to play background vocals at the Bartlett Center.
I'm surprised you don't know this story. Okay, we will take a break. We'll be back with Brad's top three. Maybe it'll be a top four this morning because I do have to do my number one.
All right, I love it.
Which is going to, John, are you wearing your socks right now?
Oh, yeah, I got them. I'm ready to have them blown off.
That's right. I'm going to blow off your socks.